What's up, everybody? It's Clark here for the BOS Sports blogcast, coming to you in what has been a mostly fun Atlanta Braves 2026 season. The Braves, of course, being 24 games over 500, and with the 7.5 game lead in the NL East over the Phillies. Braves are 5-5 in the last 10 games. A little bit of an even keel right now as they saw a lot of success versus NL East opponents, Marlins, Mets, and Nationals. Braves over the last couple of weeks really struggled versus the Yankees this past weekend versus the Diamondbacks, especially on offense. This episode, going to recap a little bit those struggles both in Diamondbacks and Yankees. Do a little bit of deep dive into that as well. Look at some key performers for the Braves. Ozzie Albies struggling a little bit at the plate. Austin Riley on a bit of a heater right now. Matt Olson keeping it strong there. First base should be Silver Slugger favorite here in the NL East for 2020. First base as well. Looking a little bit at the bullpen. Struggles recently for Raisel Iglesias. Dylan Lee, he's got back on track. Dylan Dodd, he gave up that run the other day. Overall, in his last 7 appearances, still has nice. Well, a series preview. We have Bailey Uber, Matthews, and Taj Bradley versus Minnesota Twins. So, of course, over the past weekend, the Braves lost the first 2 out of 3. Diamondbacks, they were tied with the Phillies in the wild card standing over the weekend. The Phillies are now cemented in second spot, the wild card, while the Diamondbacks are looking at it. Outside looking at this, we'll get into the standings a little bit. Braves lost first 2-0 with Brandon Pfaadt being outstanding. That Chris Sale having a nice day as well. Second game, Eduardo Rodriguez, who of course was injured last early on his contract there with the Diamondbacks. D-backs won 10-3. Grant Holmes really struggled. Sunday, the Braves were able to salvage a game in the series with the 5 victory. Javier Fuentes getting the win. Raisel Iglesias, he did get a save. He's got a couple saves in the last 7, but more of that is due to the game getting close. The Braves are right now in games where Braves quite haven't put away as had the 5-2 lead going in there, and one run squeaked across the plate. Of course, there was that balk night. Of course, Chris Sale, he ejected last weekend, the day after his start, had balk call there in New York. And same fortunate events happened to Raisel Iglesias. A little bit different. Braves hitting for the series was quite abysmal versus the Diamondbacks. On average with a 5.04, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, enough to squeak out that 5-3 big battle. Braves wrist stats have really been abysmal versus the Diamondbacks. Braves versus the D-backs, they were 4 for 20, 0 for 0. Friday, 1 for 9. Saturday, and 3 for 11. Of course, with Matt Olson, 3. Drake Baldwin. I'd like to see hot here going. Denver, of course, we got a very tough schedule. Phillies twice, Cubs. Astros, they're doing a lot better than early on. Batting average, balls in play. Braves really struggled versus a lot of swing and miss. Addition with the Babbitt not making contact. High strikeouts, 24 strikeouts versus the Diamondbacks, 35 strikeouts versus and abysmal average along with the bad ball in play. Not very great contact. Yankees, a bit more solid contact with the 192 average. 5-6, much higher strikeout. 35 strikeouts. Last 15 games, things don't look quite as abysmal. Of course, National, Mets, Marlins, we see all those last 15 games. And really did well against. Nice to see versus the Marlins. They have always solid pitching. very toughly. That's Nationals a bit different. So going back to National Series, 265 with runners and over last are the Braves. And of course, looking at that, that's all looking at Ash Marlins. And we carried the Braves. Of course, versus the Yankees, they were 6 for 21 with runners for the Braves and 4 for 20 aforementioned versus the Dodgers. Going into this, the Braves really like them to heat up. Of course, aforementioned, they have that tough September. They have a couple interesting teams. We have that makeup game. Sox, Brewers next week. We just took 3 out of 4 in Los Angeles versus the Dodgers. Brewers are playing ball. We're watching this series versus the Twins as well, who bought it at the trade deadline. We're still hoping to wild card mix, getting this. Braves wrist stats with that 265 aforementioned. That's Marlins 4 for 10, 4 for 11. August 4 for 16 and 4 for 9. Had a 4 for 9. That was August 8th versus Yankees. They're a little bit better in situations versus the Yankees. Well, 4 for 16 versus the Mets. Aforementioned top of this episode, Ozzy Albies last 15 games quite a bit. 5 strikeouts, 7 walks, maybe seeing 183 average, 587 OPS, 06 slug. 2 home runs though. Of course, he had that home run to chop house of Austin Riley. 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. Last 15 games, a 320 average. Good for a 950. Yes. Batting average play 433. A little bit suggestion. Nice to see Austin Riley make, which is displayed, of course. 3 home runs as well. And Olsen, he's actually been off once per game for home run. 1141 OPS. Olsen, he should be absolutely. And might still have a better batting average. RBIs and Olsen has an average overall. Yes, it's basically solidified. Full integer higher. Or pretty free. Who started at first baseman in the All-Star game? Probably a legacy kind of pick. Or he'd start some, or maybe even a first ballot Hall of Famer. Of course, his popularity vote. That factors a little bit into it as well. Hall of Fame. And also certainly having a much stronger season. Some of the key relievers for the Braves in their last Glacier 8.10 ERA. The Braves have brought a few multi-run situations, such as yesterday versus backs, where Rizal Glaciers would have a little bit of room to figure it out. And of course, got that shaky balk call from the officials. A little bit of bad luck there. Umpire mouth. 6 earned runs for Rizal. 6 2/3 last 7 games. 2.1 whip. pretty concerning. He does have 2 saves. Yesterday was a save and a little bit of multi-run situation. Overall on the season, total 3.15 ERA. Of course, he spread as long as he's healthy, like stuff back in. Dylan Lee, of course, struggled a little bit there early July, and those year review last 7 games he's pitched with no runs allowed, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts, holds, ERA under 2. But Dylan Dodd gave up the run the other day and kind of felt like he's struggling a little. Very solid overall in his last 5-6. Phillies, they're 6-4, 3-game winning streak. Heating up a little bit. The lead is at 9.5 games 2 days ago. Now it's down to 7.5 games. Time for things a little bit confusing. Marlins, third place. Not quite in the wild card hunt. Wild card, Cubs, Phillies, Diego, all with 1 over Diamondbacks and 3-game lead. As well, the Cubs, they have 5-game deficit there in the division to the NL Central, still a little bit tight. And Dodgers, just like the Braves, they pumped a little bit more so for the Dodgers. Diamondback Padres have narrowed that NL West game for the Dodgers down to 7. Dwindling a little bit as well. So we'll be back with a few takes here. BOS Sports blogcast. Looking at if the season were to end today, the Braves, they do have a half-game lead over the Dodgers. Of course, playing one less game so far. Loss. Dodgers are 74, Braves 50. That game being made up Thursday versus White Sox. Make up right now. That would give the Braves a bye. Of course, they could still potentially at Dodgers team in the first round. Might be a little bit scary seeing out a wild card after have pretty deep pitching as well. Other side of the bracket, could see here. Well, Cubs, Phillies versus the Bears, of course, in NL East, the being an NL Central headline up there for that bracket. So a bit interesting playoff picture, but things will shift quite a bit in the Braves. They face Dodgers next week as well. Game coming back after the Little League World Series play on ESPN Sunday night. Little League World Series, they get an off day. They got a series versus Dodgers at home. Of course, see Phillies twice, Cubs. So, or things could shift around quite a bit. Of course, that series with the Little League World Series versus the Brewers as well. So all clumped together there are all playoff pictures and lineup scenarios. But that's just how things. Getting into this, Team Perez, Bailey Uber, Zebby Matthews, Tyler Molly, Marlon Knight, Alex Anthopoulos, trade line ticket acquisition. Wednesday, Chris Sale versus Taj Bradley. Rays have to hope weather's good there. Is definitely don't want more make-up games. Running out of days left. Haley Uber 7-4 on the season with a 4.60 ERA, a 4.7. 17 home runs allowed, 0.09 home runs per 2 on opponent's batting average. There's changeup, 4-seam fastball, slider, sleeper, sink, curveball. 15.2% whiff rate on 8. Changeup, 6% whiff rate. Sweeper gets a 4% whiff rate. Zebby Matthews versus Tyler Molly, 5.54 ERA, 18 home runs allowed on the year, over 7.6. Fastball, slider, curve, changeup, cutter, sinker. 4-seam fastball getting 8% whiff rate. Slider getting a curveball getting a 32. Quite a bit of vertical drop. Taj Bradley, 9-5 so far on the season, 0.98 ERA, 4.04, 1.29 ERA, 4-seam cutter, fastball, splitter, curveball, and with rate of 35% on cutter. Whiff rate on the fastball, which averages around 97 miles per hour, 6.8. Curveball, 35.4. First, lefty Martin Perez, Tyler Molly, righty, lefty Chris Sale, that upper fastball, Brady slow 90 slider, coming from the left side from Chris Sale. Post more about that and more online. So we'll come back with a little bit more clear picture here as it progresses. And the playoff picture here in key series coming up. Probably come back maybe right before the Dodgers series, maybe a little bit after. Give updates. Be sure to stream previous episodes of the BOS Sports blogcast. Back soon.